perfectly good way to do earnings. You put the strategy on the chart, one click range trade, and the way that the one click range trade works is it's a range, okay? So one thing you're going to do is that you're going to define a range that you're going to look back in order to decide where your orders will physically be placed on the chart. So what do we mean by that? Just like we do in the morning for the gold open and the oil open, we're going to have a certain amount of ticks above the range. And with earnings, it's bigger than what we use in the morning. So let's say you have 12 ticks above the range, 12 ticks below. You show the graphics if you want to. You don't have to. And then you pick with not just randomly and out of the air, but you try to pick a time frame that you think will give you a good place for orders to be on the chart so you have the ability to adjust them because you're going to put them on the chart before the earnings come out. So let's say you pick 4 bars. We're going to use a 4 bar range and we're going to put our orders above and below the range 12 ticks. Okay, and then, of course, you're going to have a target, a number of positions, depending what you're going to do. So let's say we're going to have a 2 position trade, and we're going to have a target of 15 and 30. And we're using the one click range trade. So the way that that works, remember, we're choosing 4 bars for the range. So when you apply it, okay, and enable a one click range trade, it starts to draw your range based on the 4 bars, okay? Yes, Arthur, we're recording it. So you could see that we have a range. And if I thought that Nvidia was releasing their earnings like in the next 30 seconds, I could click not the instant buttons because that would put me right in the market. I want the range. So I click the click for range entry button and it puts my orders 12 ticks above and 12 ticks below the range. Now what I might do, I might adjust my brackets, okay? And I could do this for 10 minutes if I want. If I absolutely don't want to miss the trade, I could adjust my orders for 10 minutes, or I could trust my research, okay? I could trust my research, and I think we could do it even more simply, and we could use the breakout trade. And what we could do also, we could, instead of setting an exact time for the breakout, we could put the breakout setup on the chart early and adjust the orders. So that's a way that you could use the breakout because it's easy and create a setup that way and then just pick and move the orders around. So let's say, so I know what time if I were going to do the breakout and try to put it on the chart as close to Nvidia's earnings based on what they've done for the past year, here's the setup. Okay, here's my setup. This is the real setup. It's a breakout trade activating at 16:19:58. You don't have a bracket. I take it back. Of course, we have a bracket. It's a breakout trade. Our bracket's going to be 14. So that's like 14 ticks above and below the current price. Okay, 14. And I'm trading 3 positions. I'm trading 15, 35. Let's do 15, 30, and 69. All right. I don't really expect this much of a move. I just don't because I just think Nvidia. I just think Nvidia. They had a warning. I think that's going to take some of the pizzazz out of the event. It's just an unknown. It's an unknown. It's a very unknown what's going to happen. Just totally no idea. No idea. I'm using a 30 tick stop. I might use a little bit bigger. Um, and what I'm going to do is if it hits my second target, if the second target gets hit, I'm going to move my target to stop move to break even plus 5. All right. If my second target gets hit, break even plus 5, because that's a 30 tick target. I even have 8 in my notes. 8 in my notes. Okay. So that means if it hits your second target, that's 30 plus 8 ticks. So if it chops around, that might ruin the trade for you. If it just goes one direction and then reverses, that might protect the profit. So either way is acceptable. And yes, the bars are rolling, Andrew. Yes, the bars roll until the time of the trade. Yep. That's how the range works. So the setup is rather simple for Nvidia. And I feel like I'm fixing to die. Who wrote that song? I feel like I'm fixing to die. Some folkie wrote that. I don't remember who. John something. Um, but the Nvidia tests, I put my orders real close when I was testing with playback. 420, my bracket's on. And what you can do is move, boom, it comes out at 420.10. That was a little bit early. And I thought that trade wasn't going to work, but it still worked even though it filled. It filled when the news was released, and then it has a decent trade. It was a decent trade. It didn't explode, but it was decent. And that was November. Then you had last quarter. Last quarter, I used the adjust button a couple of times. The earnings came out a bit later. They've always been within a minute after 1620. It's always been within a minute after 1620. Wasn't that Bob Dylan? Okay, you're right. That was Bob Dylan. Yep. And that was an awesome move. Awesome move. I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know what to expect, but the testing looked good, and I'm going to play the game as if I'm expecting a good move. That's how I'm going to play it, and that's what I'm willing to try. It is the first time we've ever done Nvidia. It's no, so it's not 100% what's going to happen. They could wind up releasing their earnings 5 minutes early. That will ruin the trade because I even if I use the breakout, what you could do, I'll show you what you could do with the breakout. Let's go over the setup one more time. Now, when I use a breakout, I'm not doing anything to do with a range. I have nothing to do with a range. So I've got a breakout at 4:19 and 58 seconds. My orders will go on the chart. All right. I'm using a bracket of 14, and I've got three positions, 15, 30, and 69 on my targets. Don't use my exact targets. And I'm using a stop of 30. If anything, we sometimes use stops that are too small. So I might go to 40 on the stop. I'm thinking about it. If the second target gets hit, I'm going to move my stop to break even plus 8. And that's pretty much my trade. I'm not really doing anything with a range on this trade. And I'll show you what happens when you put a breakout trade. Show you the concept I'm going to use when I put this breakout trade on the chart. Uh, if you use a time of 0, 0 at the beginning of your time, then what'll happen is the moment you put your orders on the chart, you'll get your brackets. Now I want my brackets pretty wide so I can adjust them. The idea is going to be while I'm waiting, I'll probably put my orders on a minute before 1620. And I can move the orders around like so. Or I can click the adjust button. I can do both. Okay. Now, if Nvidia comes out too soon, we're going to miss the trade. And it would be because they've done something they haven't done in a year. And there's not a lot we can do if we're just waiting for earnings to come out. We're assuming that they're probably going to, do it in a similar manner to the way they've done it for the past year. There's really no reason for them to change dramatically the way that they're doing their release. They've done it at 1620 for the past year. Let's check our time sync. And my time sync is good. Let's get our charts ready to go. And, if you miss it, I'm not going to chase it. I trade for a pretty much a one trade breakout. And so I think what my plan is, I'm going to put my orders on about a minute before 1620. Instead of putting the orders on exactly at 1620 or 2 seconds before, I'm going to put my orders on a little bit early, a minute, and I'm gonna play this game assuming that they're going to be on time, quote unquote, on time with their earnings. And I'm going to assume that I may have to adjust my orders. And I'm going to finally make my final assumption that we should see the earnings come out at around 1620 and 20 seconds, between 1620 and 1650. That's that's what we're thinking. We should be safe if we put our orders on somewhere around 1645. It should be okay because the word is the earnings are going to come out at 1620ish, 20ish. So I think we do want to get our orders on before 1620. I like to see that our testing is good, but I don't want to just prove how smart I am by being stubborn either, right? So there's no reason that we can't put the orders on now. So now, if the earnings come out early, a little bit early, we'll be ready for them. All right. If the price is just hovering, then hopefully we'll get pulled into a trade when they release their earnings. So the price action is really just hanging. It's hanging around. All right. I think they're going to come out any second. It's usually between now and 1621. In the past year, they haven't come out after 1621. They've come out before. There they are. Okay, so we got, uh, so unfortunately, oh God, so frustrating. So frustrating. I just didn't trade that the way I should. I should have just left my orders where they were. It was a little bit choppy. It was a little bit choppy. So it caught me in a pullback, but my stop was big enough. I did not trade that well, and it cost me a profit. It cost me a profit. I'm extremely frustrated, extremely frustrated. There was no reason to lose money on that trade. That trade worked, and I just moved my orders foolishly, and I'm so frustrated I could explode. I could explode.